Good evening and good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining our continuing education with Dr. Glenn Vo, excuse me, that's going to be covering this evening how owner care can prevent team despair. And also, too, I want to take a moment now to thank our sponsor, Darby Dental, because without their support, we wouldn't be able to put these continuing education courses on every third Thursday. So, Dr. Vo, I'm going to hand it over to you now because I know you do have a presentation and you'll introduce both myself and Jeff here as we move along.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much, Dan, for being here, Jeff as well. I appreciate it. And guys, yes, this presentation is how owner care can prevent staff despair. If you're here for something else, then stick around anyways. It's going to be awesome. Okay, stick around anyways. So sit back, listen. This is something that's really important for everyone, right? Right now, we have so many staff issues. There's the Great Resignation. That's a real thing, right? And how can we combat something like that? Well, you combat that by making sure your own team, your existing team, the team that's with you right now, you're taking care of them. But before I jump into that, I want to ask everyone a question here. Do you guys remember like the vacation you took as a kid? Like maybe there was a place that you guys always like to go to when you're a kid, vacations. For us, it was California. Now, I grew up in Houston, Texas, and we used to make the drive all the way to LA in this red station wagon you see on this picture right here. Now, that's actually the very first car my dad ever owned. It was an Oldsmobile station wagon. It didn't have power windows. Now, I'm not sure how old everyone is, but back in the day, you actually had to pay extra to get power windows. You had to do this little maneuver here where you're like twisting around to get the windows down. I told my kids that, they think I'm lying. I told them it's true, okay? The station wagon didn't have AC either. So my parents used to drive all the way over there. And can you imagine driving through West Texas, going through New Mexico, going to Arizona with no AC? But here's the thing, they were smart, they planned ahead. We drove at night, right? We drove at night, and during the day, we would go stop at truck stops. That's where you used to go, hang out at truck stops and stuff like that to stay cool. Now, my parents, because we didn't have much growing up, they also packed a big cooler in the back of the station wagon with food and snacks and whatnot. The reason why they were doing all these things is because as an immigrant family, we didn't have much. But my parents knew there was something really important to give me the full American experience, right? Every summer you went on vacations. And I remember coming back to the following school year being just so proud to tell everyone, I went to California, I went to Disneyland. That was something my parents wanted to give to me. Even though they didn't have much, they did everything they could. Driving a station wagon with no AC, driving at nighttime so it wouldn't be too hot, packing food in the station wagon so they don't have to spend money at restaurants. They did all that so I can have that experience. And just like how my parents had an opportunity to make a positive impact on me, they wanted to let me know that spending time with family, no matter how much money you had or how little money you had, it was something really important. We all have that same opportunity. We have that same opportunity in our practice. We have the opportunity to give a positive impact, not only to our patients, but our team members. We have a chance to influence them. We have a chance to mentor them. We have a chance to help them get better. And so let me ask you this. If you want someone to care about your practice, don't you have to care about them? Because most team members, they're there for a paycheck, but they want something more. They want to be somewhere where they can be mentored, they can be inspired. They want somewhere with a future. No one wants to work at a dead-end job. So the key here is having a deep connection. So before I go further, quick introduction to myself. Again, Dan's already kind of talked about me a little bit. I'm a practicing dentist, just like most of us in the audience here. I'm also the founder of Nifty Thrifty Dentists, social media group where we come together, we have a community that helps each other out, and we get deals and discounts, right? So again, no dentist in this day and age should ever practice by themselves. With social media, with different groups, we all have a community that we can lean on each other. So a little bit about me right there. So to get the most out of this presentation, I need you guys to listen. Don't worry about taking notes. Don't worry about taking pictures of my slides or anything like that. I have all that information on the site. If you go to, again, you can take a picture of this, just go to the members area, all my downloadables, all my forms and whatnot that I want to talk about, it's all there. You don't have to write anything down. It's all there for you guys to use and to help level up your practice. Okay, so what causes team despair? What causes team despair? Most of the time, whenever you have an issue with your team members, or maybe your team member's not happy, it's a breakdown in relationships, right? Maybe that relationship between you and that team member is not that strong. Maybe there's not that big connection there. So team despair, team members being unhappy, team members looking for other opportunities. It can be voided by something I call the engagement cycle. All right, so for those who are married, and Dan, I know you're married. Jeff, you might be because I'm looking at your office, very clean. So you have to be married there. So, we all understand, we all remember when we were, dating our wives and going through the whole courtship ritual, right? So the first part is, just like when we meet someone for the first time, core identity is about who you are, right? What are you about? So core identity in our practice, what is our practice about? What am I about as a practice owner? The next stage when you go through like an engagement cycle is genuine connection, right? So you're dating someone, you like what they're about. Now you got to see if there's a connection there, right? Just like with us and our team members, we got to have a connection, a genuine connection with our team members. And then growth potential, right? So before, our spouses said, yes, that I do, and they put that ring on, well, they had to see, was there a future with this guy? Was there a future with Dan? Was there a future with Jeff? They're probably thinking that. You're like, is that someone I can grow old with? So again, with our team members, they're looking at that growth potential too. Am I in a dead-end job? Is this somewhere where I can level up? Is this where I can make more money and provide for my family? Is this where I can get more experiences and learn more? Because no one wants to work anywhere that's a dead-end job. So the engagement cycle, these three things come together to be able to give you the ability to connect with your team, to give your team members a place that, hey, this is where I want to be at, because it checks off all three of the boxes. Okay, so the goals of this presentation is I want to help you lay the foundation for you to create a practice that your team cares about. They care about your practice. We're going to create a genuine connection with your team. We're also going to create a growth-minded environment. No one wants to work at a dead-end job. So the first component we're going to talk about of the engagement cycle is core identity. All right, so this is actually one of my favorite pictures. And for those of you who have seen this picture before, this is something that I talk about in a lot of my presentations. This is a picture of me and my godfather, Glenn Leon Rogers. Now, if you look at this picture, the gentleman in the middle who's wearing the white undershirt, that's Glenn Leon the First. The guy to the far right, that's Glenn the Second. That's the son. I call him Uncle Glenn. The guy that looks like John Bon Jovi, and maybe you guys are too young to know who that is, but definitely Dan and Jeff knows who they are. The guy that looks like John Bon Jovi, that's Glenn the Third, and I am Glenn the Fourth. So when my family came here in this country, Glenn Sr. was instrumental in helping us get settled in this country. He was part of this charity called Catholic Charities, and Catholic Charities was really big on helping Vietnamese refugees settle in this country. So my mom was pregnant with me, and when we settled here, out of gratitude, my dad named me after Glenn the First. This picture was the last time we were all together in one place, and this was at a Christmas dinner. And I remember at that Christmas dinner, there was all these other refugee families. It was Glenn Sr.'s family was there as well. There was probably about 100 people crammed into this house. And I remember I came up to Grandpa Rogers, that's what I called him. And I said, Grandpa, why do you have all these people here? It's like a ton of people here, and barely any room for your own family. And he looked at me and he says, the reason why I do this is because I want to show you that if you give back to others, then you're able to impact more people beyond your own family. He was paying it forward before paying it forward was in style. And that was something that was true to his identity. Catholic Charities was something that was special for him, and being able to help all these refugees get a leg up in this country was something really important for him. And so when we talk about core identity, think about the core identity of your own practice. What are the core values that your practice is about? What do you represent? Because again, people, they like to believe in something bigger than themselves. That's how you keep people engaged. That's how you keep people staying in your practice. So the core values is something, again, that's really big in your practice. Your team needs to know what your practice is about. Now, core values is essentially the essence of a practice identity. It's the principles, the beliefs, it's the philosophy behind your practice. It's not a bunch of worn out cliches, don't mean anything. Core values is something that guides your business and guides your practice. They need to authentically define how you and your team operate, behave, and interact on a day-to-day basis. So this is the core values in my practice. Family, awesome, inspire, teamwork, happy. Spells faith. We're a faith-centered practice. Faith is something really important to me and my wife, who we're both the practice owners. Something very important in our practice as well. So F stands for family. We treat our team members like family members. We treat our patients like family. Awesome. We want to give awesome service. We want to be awesome to each other. Inspire. We inspire our patients to become better, to take better care of themselves. We also inspire our team to get better every day. Teamwork. We work not only with our patients to help them get better, we work with each other to provide the best dentistry possible. And then happy, we want everyone to be happy, we want our patients to be happy as well. This is something that we live by in our practice, right? We hire and we fire based off of core values. So again, all these things is something that we all believe in. Whether I'm held accountable, my whole team is held accountable, no one is above the core values. So again, here's a downloadable resource. I told many of you guys that I have this. If you took a picture of that link, I could send the link later, but all these resources are here. So maybe you have core values in your practice. Maybe you don't. This is a great worksheet that you can use to come up with those core values. And remember, it's what authentically describes your practice, right? It's something that you believe in, that you want everyone to kind of follow as their mission. So again, here's the worksheet there. What are the principles that guide our choices? What do we want our company to be known for? How our values distinguish us from competitors? What qualities do we value in employees? So again, core values are really important. Core values exist at Darby. Core values exist at CareStack. So again, if you don't have it in your practice, download this resource, start working with it, maybe work with your team as well, come up with those core values. So when we talk about core self, knowing ourselves, I like to talk about this quote here. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. That's by Aristotle. And that is true, right? That is true. You got to know yourself. You got to know your practice. So the core self, what is core self? So a good team follows a good leader. But do you know yourself, right? Do you know what kind of leader you are? Do you know how you approach problems and obstacles? What are your strengths and weaknesses? I like to use an assessment with most of my coaching clients, and I've used it myself. It's called a Kolbe Assessment. It's an assessment. You can go to the Kolbe core, you can take it yourself, and it lets you know how you approach problems. So the Kolbe Assessment, let me move this to the side, it's covering this here. The Kolbe Assessment measures how you naturally solve problems, right? There's an MO, it's called the method of operation. It focuses on what you do well. Now, here's the thing about the assessment. The assessment is not a test that you can fail. No one can fail this test, right? And it actually measures your instincts. So it has nothing to do with your intellect, has nothing to do with your experience. It's how you naturally solve your problems. Now, there's 4 action modes for the Kolbe Assessment. First thing is a fact finder, which is based on gathering and sharing info. People who have a high fact finder, they're the type who needs to know all the details before they make a decision. The follow through is arranging and designing, and that's a focus on systems and guidelines. So someone with a high follow through, they're someone who has to have like a particular system. They use a particular system to solve all their problems. They're very regimented there. Quick start is dealing with risk and uncertainty. They thrive on deadlines and quick thinking. So quick start, people with high quick starts, they're the type who can wing things, who can make decisions really quickly without planning. That's what a quick start is. And then implementer is someone who and most dentists are implementers. They like to draw things out. They're the ones who pull a whiteboard there, start drawing things out. They like to get models. They like to get their hands on things to make a decision. So all those things, everyone has different action modes, and the highest number on the action modes kind of lets you know what you lead with. So if you look at this Kolbe assessment, 6392, that is my assessment. So I make decisions very quickly, but I also look at all the facts. So I look at all the facts, I make a decision very quickly. As far as systems and follow through, I'm not too strong with that. And I kind of depend on my team for that. So why is this important? It's important to know what type of leader you are. It's important to know how you take action so that you are able to get the right team around you. But also, if your team knows that you're really good at a certain method, then they're going to understand what your blind spots are, but they'll also understand how to work with you better. So I have my entire team take a Kolbe assessment because that allows me to know, okay, well, maybe this person might be the right person for this chair. Maybe this person's better over here. Or why is this person struggling in this particular seat? Maybe it's because, well, this particular seat requires you to be very detail oriented and their fact finder is really low. So again, this is not anything that you're doing anything wrong. It's about how they naturally solve problems. So before you can say, hey, I want to be a good leader, I want to serve my team and whatnot, you need to know how you naturally solve problems. And once you figure that out, you figure out that core self, you're able to work with your team a lot better. And what happens when you work with your team really well? Team's happy. You're not a tyrant, right? They're happy. They like working for you. So again, that is something really important, is knowing your core self. Okay, so again, I just talked about that. Once you know who you are, you're able to identify those blind spots, and that way you can formulate the right team with everyone in the right seat. So again, you might have the right team right now, but maybe you need to kind of shift things around to make sure they're in the right seats. And when people are in the right seats, they're happy. They feel like they're doing a good job. They feel like they're really making a difference. And that's a key to keeping people in your practice. So the next component, we just talked about core identity. The next component is genuine connection. So this is my former hygienist, CJ. And she's my former hygienist because, she met her fiance, she fell in love with him. Then she moved to Arizona. I'm still actually kind of upset about it because she was an awesome hygienist. But CJ started my practice as a dental assistant. I remember like it yesterday. She came in, we hired her. She had no experience, but we liked her personality, and so we hired her right there. And I whenever I run into her, I just kind of make fun of her all the time because like she started crying when we hired her because no one would hire her, and we gave her her first shot, right? Well, anyways, we did this thing called a vision board in our practice. And I remember the vision boards, we're going to talk about that later, but I remember on her vision board, she wrote on there, she wanted to be a dental hygienist. And so for me, it's like, well, let me help you get there. And so I gave her all the experience she would need. I introduced her to different hygienists. I had a friend who actually was the coordinator of a dental hygiene school, and she ended up getting into dental hygiene school. And I told her, well, you know what? You can work us on whenever you have breaks at school, you can work with us, but we want you to come back and be our hygienist. She gets through dental hygiene school, comes back and works for us. And again, she ended up working for us for a while, but then met her fiance, ended up leaving. But the whole point is that we saw what she wanted in our vision, and we wanted to help her get her there. And by helping her get to her goals, she helped our practice out. She was an amazing assistant. She was an amazing hygienist. So again, genuine connection is not about just, hey, I like this person or just getting along with someone. Having a genuine connection with someone is being able to be invested in what their hopes and dreams are, helping them achieve their goals so that you can achieve your goals in your practice. So again, let me ask all of you who are here right now is, do you know your team? Like, do you know your team? Do you really know your team? I mean, ask yourself this question right now. Do you know your team's financial goals? Do you know their travel goals? What about their family goals? Educational goals, health goals? Do you know any of those things? Now ask yourself this additional question here. Do you know their family members? You know their spouse's name? You know their kids' names? Do you know what they like, dislike? Do you know about their background? You know where they grew up at? Do you know any of those things? Because how can you ask someone to help grow your dream when you don't know anything about their dream? Right? I mean, again, you don't know anything about their hopes and dreams. And yet you're just like, hey, guys, we got to keep on pushing and get those goals. Hey, guys, we got to do this and do this. Hey, let's do this. And you just get a pizza party, right? No, you have to get somewhere deeper than just saying, hey, good job, here's a pizza party, right? You got to help them achieve their goals. That's how you get that genuine connection, right? When you go through something together and you accomplish something together that not only affects you, but affects them, that's how you get that genuine connection. So there's 2 exercises to get that genuine connection: vision boards and a questionnaire, getting to know you questionnaire. And these 2 templates, again, like I mentioned, they are also in that section, that link. You click on that link and get that. So this is probably one of my favorite. We take pictures of our vision boards every year, but this is actually my favorite one because it's just, there's just all the vision boards that year was just really well put together. But that's my wife right in the center right there. That's my team. Okay, so every year we do this exercise where we talk about vision boards. Now, vision boards are like a visual representation of all your goals: health goals, relationship goals, financial goals, professional goals, family goals, spiritual goals. All those things are represented on pictures that are put on this poster board. Now, why do I want my team to do that? Because number 1, we want to know each other's goals. But number 2, I want to help them achieve their goals. And I want to help them achieve their goals by getting them to help me achieve my goals. So these vision boards are on the hallway on the way to our break room. So every day I'm walking by and I'm looking at travel goals and I'm looking at all these different goals. And so for me, I like to use this one story. A few years ago, about 5 of the vision boards on my team, they all had Orlando as a place they wanted to go. But more specifically, they wanted to go to the Harry Potter world that's at Universal Studios. So when I was thinking about a team trip, guess where I was thinking? I was thinking Orlando. And it happened to be this location where the Florida Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry was doing their conference. So we went there, we got our CE going, and then we went to Universal Studios, right? And to this day, they still talk about it. They're like, oh man, we can't wait to get back, et cetera, et cetera. When you make memories like that, when you help people accomplish their goals, when you help them make memories, those are the things that people remember. Now, of course, you still have to pay your team competitively. We'll talk about that later. But when you're making those type of memories, when you're sharing those type of experiences, you create a bond. You create a bond that's even stronger than just getting a paycheck. Now, again, how are you going to figure out, what your team likes? What about their family, all those things. So I have these questionnaires. And again, the one that I have that's on, that's uploaded to that site, is a little bit more detailed than this. I've updated since I've given this presentation. But again, people are always asking like, well, how do you remember their birthdays? How do you remember when their kid's birthday is? How do you remember what their favorite Starbucks drink is? Hey, I'm not a genius, but I have it all written down. It's on my Google Drive, and there's a reminder on my calendar. So whenever my team does something good, whenever I want to reward them, they did a good job, and I just want to do something nice, rather than just giving them just some random drink that I just guessed, like, I think you like a vanilla latte, but maybe they like the pumpkin spice latte because they wrote it down. Each time I'm giving them a gift, it's extremely thoughtful. Each time I remember their kid's birthday and I bring a gift for them, it's extremely thoughtful. Think about all the gifts you've ever gotten and think about the ones that stand out. They're the things that, you probably could have got it yourself, but someone got it for you and they knew exactly what you wanted. So again, being top of mind, being thoughtful, giving them the right gifts at the right time is something that you're going to build that genuine connection, right? They could go work somewhere else, but that team and that practice owner might not be as thoughtful as you. So again, it's all about just kicking it up a notch and not only having that connection, yeah, we're just working together, but knowing what they like, knowing what their hopes and dreams are, those things build that genuine connection. So the next component we talked about core identity, we talked about genuine connection. Now we're at growth potential, right? So remember I was talking about how, hey, you want to see if there's a future here, right? We don't want to be in a dead end job. Well, growth potential is all about your pay, right? It's all about your pay, the ability to level up. Now, before you guys fall out of your chair and say, this is how much Dr. Bo's paying all his team. Again, this is an older image here. But again, it doesn't matter where you practice. As long as you know what the starting wages are and whatnot, the key is not focusing on how the wages are, focus on the levels, right? So remember, everyone wants to get better. Everyone wants to level up, right? The PayGrade system is something that allows you to level up your team. So let me share a story with you. I had an assistant a few years ago, and she came up to me and says, hey, Doc, I need to talk to you at the end of the day. How many of you guys, and again, I can't see you, but you can raise your hand there and I can probably telepathically notice you raising your hand. But how many of you guys ever had this conversation where a team member came up to you and says, oh, I need to talk to you at the end of the day? I mean, I have, and I remember that always gave me a lot of anxiety because I'm thinking, all right, what do you want to do? Are they going to quit on me? Are they going to ask for a raise? What do I want to do, right? And so the biggest issue for me is when people came up to me, they wanted a raise. I was like, okay, if I give them too little, they might leave. Or what, should I just give them a raise? Do they even deserve a raise? I had no way of measuring that. Because here's the thing. When you think about practice owners and when you think about team members, right? Practice owners, we're always thinking about profits and production and watching our overhead, right? And our team members, they want to be fulfilled. They want to be empowered. They want to get paid what they're worth. So team members and practice owners, we speak two different languages, right? And so again, when we're thinking about staff pay, when we're thinking about growth potential, we got to think about the languages that they're thinking about. So again, this is my team. This is my team. That's Edith, that's my office manager, Kellen and Jennifer. That's us at a 5K run there. And so again, my goal is, most of these team members have been working for me for a while, is because I'm invested in them. I want them to get better. And so again, the PayGrade system is something that we have, and this is my front office staff. So the PayGrade system is based off of this, right? We have, as practice owners, we're focused on our productions, our overhead, all those things. We only have so much money. We only have so much money to spend, right? The only way we can pay our team members more is if we produce more, if we can get more revenue in, right? A big mistake that most people make is they just pay in existence tax, right? An existence tax, hey, I'm here for another year, just give me a raise, right? Without any notion of trying to increase the production in the practice. Right? But what the PayGrade system does is that incentivizes people to get better. But with these skills, each time they move up another level, these skills allow you to produce more. So for example, an entry-level team member comes in, level 1, and they probably know how to scan some documents. This is front desk. We're talking about front desk right now. They know how to scan some documents, maybe send some referrals, right? But when they start being able to present treatment plans, when they're able to start leading morning huddles, when they start being able to send claims, that helps you get more money in your practice. So as you're raising people up, you want to make sure that they're able to get skills that can help you bring more money in your practice. Now, from a team member perspective, that gives them a very detailed, a structured pathway to get paid more. So a lot of times I have this PayGrade system on the wall in the break room. You want to get a raise, you know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly what skills you need to get to the next level. So again, here are some templates. I have these templates on that link as well. And again, I'll discuss to you best practices on how to fill this template out. But again, here's a template. You guys can download that. No need to write all that stuff down. So these are my assistants. And if you notice, Edith is on 2 pictures there. And it's because she's cross-trained. And again, that's going to lead to, well, what if someone maxes out on my PayGrade system? Well, then you put them through another PayGrade system. You create a cross-trained team member who knows how to do everything. So again, with assistants, okay? Someone who just got out of assisting school or just started, most of them know how to sterilize instruments. Most know how to take x-rays. But when they know how to start chairside assisting, if they know how to use the intraoral scanner, when they know how to work ortho and know how to do denture adjustments, when they know how to do these other things, that actually frees up your chair time. You can delegate to them. You can move on to another patient and start working on another patient. So again, you give raises based on their ability to help you produce. All right. That satisfies our love language. Our love language is, how am I paying the bills here if I'm paying everyone a lot of money? Well, if they're helping you make more money, that satisfies our love language. Now, how do you satisfy our team members' love language? You satisfy their love language by giving them a very clear pathway to make more money. You learn how to do these things, I pay you more, right? There's no subjective like, oh, you know what? The weather's nice today, I'll just give you a raise. No, they accomplish these things and they get a raise. Now, with that being said, many of you are probably thinking like, well, is this the only thing you use? No, of course, this is just one of the tools. But again, I look at how their performances with the team, I look at their attendance and all that. But this is a big component, because when I sit down for my employee review, I already have an idea that they're going to get a raise or not. They already know too. If they don't know any of these skills, then they know that that's the way they get a raise. So again, it makes that awkward conversation about a raise so much easier, but it also makes your interviews a lot easier as well. And I'll talk about that a little later. So again, here's the templates right there. You guys can use these templates, fill it out. And again, I'll talk to you about how we fill that out, but that's all there. And these are my hygienists. Okay. And again, that's CJ. She's gone now, but I still include her. She's, she's someone who went through my practice assistant, now as a hygienist. But, how do you do the pay grade for a hygienist? Like, right now, yeah, it's hard to find hygienists and whatnot, but you still, once you do, you still have to give them a way to get more money, right? So again, it goes back to, well, how are we going to afford to pay these hygienists, right? The industry standard as far as pay is like, whatever the hygienist pay is, the industry standards, they produce 3 times their pay. I know some practices say 4, but 3 times basically on, everyone I've talked to across the country, normally it's 3 times. So here's the thing, your hygienist can only work so fast. They can only do so many scalings. They can only do so many prophies. They can only work so fast. And obviously we want them to have integrity, be ethical, right? So again, they can only work so fast. If they work faster, they might be cutting corners. We don't want to do that. So it's up to us to give them the ability to produce more. If they produce more, we can pay them more. So again, you got to help them look for opportunities such as sealants and fluoride to increase their production, right? So at your morning huddle, you're looking for those opportunities. You're letting your hygienist know that you're giving them a leg up right there. You're also helping them learn new skills. My hygienists are all laser certified, right? And I invested in them because now they not only can do like a normal SRP, but they can do it with laser pocket therapy as well, right? I'm giving them other skills so they can do more, right? And then of course, bonus structures as well for products, right? I mean, again, there's so many products that your patients need. Why not reward your hygienist for making sure these patients get that, right? Why not bonus them, helping you sell certain cases? So again, if you can give your hygienist the ability to make more money, then when you do give them a raise, it's not hurting you. It's actually, you actually can afford that. So again, the dental hygienist pay grade scale, you should look to help them maintain the 3 times their pay in production. You maintain that, you're going to be safe when it comes to your overhead. All right, so what happens when someone maxes out the pay grade system, right? Well, you got 2 choices. Okay, so they get to the top, maybe you have 3 levels, maybe you have 4 levels, it doesn't matter. But eventually, if someone's in your practice long enough, they're gonna max out, right? So what do? Well, you can cross-train them like I did with Edith. You can cross-train them in the front office. You can continue a pay grade there. So then they end up becoming someone who can do 2 jobs. They can do the jobs of 2 people, front and back. The second choice is something that I've called figuring out if they're a rock or a lighthouse. Okay, so what does that mean? What does a rock and what does a lighthouse mean? Okay, so once they max out and maybe you don't want to cross train, or maybe you did, and there's nowhere else to go. So you got to figure out if they're a rock or a lighthouse. A rock is someone who's suited to be in their position. They're not suited to move up. They're really good at what they're doing, okay? You don't want to promote them out of their ideal position, because that's happened many times to me, right? You find someone, they're a really good assistant. Hey, you know what? You've been around for a while. Let's make you the office manager. Well, maybe they don't have the skills for that. Maybe that's not what they're good at. So what ends up happening is you're putting them, you're elevating them out of your practice. You're promoting them out of your practice. They're not meant to be a management, right? But you push them there because you have nowhere else to go. So again, you got to figure out if they're good in their position or if they have the aptitude to go higher. And that's what a lighthouse is. So so someone who's a rock, their highest pay grade becomes their base salary. So if they're up to like $20 an hour, that's their base pay, right? That's their salary, right? And now how do you pay them more? You do that additional pays off of performance bonuses. They got their base pay, they got their salary pay, and performance bonuses, whether it's how many cases, maybe it's production, whatever KPIs you have that bring more money, like procedures that bring more money in the practice, you bonus them off that. So again, office production, amount of procedures, other KPIs. So that way they have that safety net, and that they're able to make more money than they want if they want to work harder. Now, a lighthouse is someone who's amazing at their position that has the aptitude to lead a team. So it's kind of like a farm system to help you fill in the gaps for as your practice grows. Now, why is this really important? Because you never know when a team member decides to leave. So you always constantly have to train the next person up. Now, if you look at a sports team, right? If you look at a football team, right? They're constantly drafting players that they can groom and potentially take over for a starter, either leaves in free agency or ends up retiring. If you're not planning for the future, then when your team member leaves and you don't have someone else that could step in, you're gonna take a step back in production and efficiency. So again, the lighthouse is when you just find that someone is good at something, put them in a new pay grade that develops. Let's say, for example, you think they might have the potential to become the office manager. Okay, so then you put them in a new pay grade for manager in training, assistant manager, office manager, right? So again, they become a new pay grade, and the highest pay grade becomes their base salary, and then you can give them bonuses. So again, the main thing is you always want to have a farm system to get the next person up. So again, you have an entry level assistant. They have the aptitude to become the lead assistant. You want to keep moving up so that if your lead assistant ever leaves, or you can't afford to pay them and they end up leaving, you have the next person, you can promote them up. So you constantly want to train them. You constantly want to have that farm system to help replace your leaders. Hopefully you don't have to do that very often, but if they ever leave, you're protected there. And also that gives that team member the ability to get better. All right, so we went through a lot there. I'm sure many of you guys have questions there, but we basically went over a way to create a practice that your team cares about. We did that by talking about creating core values. We did that by talking about knowing yourself, knowing your core self, knowing your team's core self, so that you can be the best leader there and you can put them in the right seat so they can be happy. We talked about creating a genuine connection, finding out what their hopes and dreams are, finding out what their family life is like, what their likes and dislikes are, so that you have that closer connection. And then we talked about a growth-minded environment. We talked about the PayGrade system. So now your team knows what they need to do to make more money. But as they're doing that, they're leveling up, right? They're leveling up, they're getting better. And that way, when you're paying them, they're actually helping you produce more so you can afford to pay them more. So again, this is my team right here. This is our core values. This is something that's on our wall. It has our vision statement, mission statement, core values. So whenever we walk by to the treatment room, we always walk by this, and our patients do as well. And with my team is really big on their love language is time together. That's their love language. They like spending time together. They like taking trips. They like being of service. This is a picture of us with doing a mission trip. This is our cruise to Mexico. And again, it's all about figuring out what's important to your team when you look on the vision statement, and just creating those memories there for your team. All right, guys. Well, hopefully, I think I finished right on time here. Enough. I wanted to have enough time to do a Q&A, but also to talk a little bit, have Dan talk a little bit about CareStack as well. So if we have any questions, Dan? I can take some questions right now.
Yeah, I'm going to check right now, Dr. Vo. I'm just going into, again, folks, you can go down to the Q&A or you can put it in the chat at the bottom. I know we had a lot of hands go up when you asked the question. I think was when you're looking at the raise time, right? You had quite a few attendees put their hands up, ask about that. And, you know, there is one question just around that piece, right, Dr. Vo, and hopefully I'm getting this right.
Yeah.
They were asking, like, what do you do if you have one of those high performers that's asking for something outside of one of your levels?
Yeah.
Do you normally, will you make an exception, or what's your standard there?
So I always like to work with my team. And in fact, this happened the other day. This happened not too long ago. So their skill set was at a level where, okay, I was going to give them $1 raise, but they wanted $2, right? They wanted $2 and they were going to get into another category. And so I said, look, I want to pay you that $2 raise that you wanted. Okay. But let's do this. Let me give you $1 right now. And I'm going to give you 6 months. Now it could be 6 months. It could be 3 months. I'm going to give you 6 months. I want you to be able to do those other things. If you can do that, no questions asked, I want to give you the rest. So here's the thing, guys. The last thing you want to do is just give some money away because you're scared someone's going to leave. And that's a real fear right now. But again, you can also incentivize them and have them prove it to you, right? So again, if someone is asking for a certain amount of raise, there's certain things you have to do the math in your head. What could they do to help you recoup that money? Like what other skills they can do? So what I would say is I would meet them somewhere halfway. I was like, okay, I'll give you half of that, but I need you to be able to do all these other things. If you can do it at this set time, then I will give you the rest. So it's not like you're saying no, you're just asking them to earn it. And most people who are hardworking, they are totally fine with that. And that's my recommendation for if you're faced with that situation.
Good response. And if that doesn't answer the question, chat back. We do have some hands up, Dr. Vo. Are you okay just taking somebody live?
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, someone.
Let's go to Kim.
Where can I find the slides? Well, Melanie, you can. I don't have the slide. No one's ever asked me for my slides. I always ask for my downloads. But it's if you go into the Nifty group, there's a link in there. You go there and you can download all the forms and whatnot. But feel free to talk to Darby, and if you're buying from Darby, maybe I'll give you. I'm just joking. No, I'll you know what? Just message me on Facebook. Just join my group. Ask me there. I'll be happy to explain all those things. Oh, actually. This presentation is in that downloads area. Now I just remember it's in there with other other presentations as well. So as long as you register, you can watch over and over. I have the same presentation in there.
Perfect. There is another question that came through on the Q&A, and maybe I hope I get this one right. Have you altered this at all? Like this program, like where you're doing the PayGrade as well as like the vision boards, is this a different iteration than what it looked like maybe 4 years ago?
This particular presentation has changed just a little bit. And again, it's changed. I try to keep it up with like what's going on as far as what's going on right now in our with the whole Great Resignation and people leaving and whatnot. So I will say that what I pay, the PayGrade, I've actually increased it a little bit now. And again, the main takeaway behind is not so much like, hey, we want to keep it at a certain amount. It's all about they have to earn their next level of pay. Like we don't want to just give someone a raise just because they're there. We don't want to just give someone a raise because we're scared they're going to leave. We want to give them a raise because they earned it. And I think most of our team, they want to get paid what they're worth. Now it's up to us as practice owners to run an effective ship, right? It's up to us to be able to, because not only does our team have to level up, we actually as practice owners have to level up. So if you're only doing bread and butter dentistry and you're not doing implants, you're not doing sleep, you're not doing all those things, how can you pay your team more if you're capping yourself on how much you earn? And that's always the big thing, because we're always complaining like, oh, my team wants more. Well, don't you want to make more? I mean, you got to learn how to increase your skill set. So when we tell our team to get better, that means we have to get better too. We have to hold each other to the same standard. And that's when people get in trouble. They keep on doing the same thing for years. And one day they look up and they're like, oh man, I'm only producing the same amount. Well, you're meant to get better too, right? You're meant to use like a more robust practice management software. You're meant to work with companies like Darby that take care of you better, that bring new things to you so that you can keep leveling up. So you have to level up not only clinically, but also business-wise as well. So hopefully that answered that question there.
I think it did. And we got another question from Melanie, Dr. Vo. It says, what do you say to a team member that does not want to share their personal information or don't want to get involved with the rest of the team? They have someone that's been with the company a long time, but never participates.
Yeah. So again, it all goes back to your core values, right? Like, I mean, again, if your core values is about, hey, you know, everyone does their own thing and not work as a team, okay, right? But again, if you looked at my core values, teamwork was there, family was there, right? So again, we hire and fire based on our core values. The core values is super important because we can't read each other's minds. Our team can't read our minds. But when you have something on a plaque that says this is what our practice is about, there's no question there. So again, you have to stay consistent there. So again, for this particular team member, well, let me ask Melanie, let me ask you this. Is it in your core values to kind of treat each other like family and work as a team? Is that written anywhere? Because if that's not anywhere, you can't get mad at her. She only knows what she knows, right? So what I would recommend to you is if that's something that's important to you, you need to start working on that. You need to sit down with your team. You need to talk about it. You need to explain to them why it's important, how it's going to help level up the practice, but not only level up the practice, because that's for you, right? More production, growing the practice, that's you. That's your dream. How does that relate to their dream? How does that help them? Because again, whether you like it or not, most team members, and ourselves included, we want to know, well, how's that helping us out? You got to show them. You got to show them by working here, it's going to help them out. So again, you got to take a couple steps back here before we move, 3 or 4 steps forward. You got to get your core values down. You got to let that know. And once you lay that out, then you approach that team member, right? Because maybe she doesn't know. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, good. And I think that kind of answered Melanie's next question, because she followed up with one, great content here on maintaining employees, but what about recruiting and hiring new team members?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the cool thing. And again, I'll use both of you guys as an example, right? Like you guys work with different companies, and you came over to Darby, you came over to CareStack because you believed in what they were doing. Like they got something good going on. You want to be a part of it. You saw a potential for you or your career to level up, but also just all the different things. You wanted to be part of something special. Well, when you're recruiting people, you look, first of all, you gotta offer the bare minimum, which is the salary, right? It's gotta be competitive, right? You can't just say, hey, we got a great place to work, and you just lowball them. No, you gotta come with something competitive, right? But then eventually all the salaries are gonna be close to each other. So why does someone want to jump ship? They want to jump ship because, oh man, he was talking about core value. He's talking about helping me achieve all my goals. I want to work there. I look at all these pictures on social media. Man, they're going on cruises, they're doing all this stuff. I want to work there. But again, what people always fail to recognize, they think they can culture through everything, right? Culture is the only solution. I'm gonna tell you right now, and this might hurt. You gotta pay up, man. Okay, you gotta pay up. You can culture your way only so much, but at some point you gotta pay up. So it's both of those things.
And then I think we got time maybe for, what do you think, one more question, Dr. Vo?
Sure, yeah, sure.
It looks like someone was asking, what are you doing to keep your team safe during COVID?
Well, full disclosure, I practice in Texas. Okay. So with that being said, we love our freedom here. And, I grew up in Texas. And so, depending on where you are, it just depends on what the climate is here. we were eating in restaurants while everyone else was shut down during the pandemic. No one was wearing masks, no one cared. And honestly, I might make a few people mad, but I was totally cool with it. Again, I was born and raised in Texas. Okay. So with my team members, with the COVID protocols and whatnot, we do have our, multiple air filtration systems in our practice. Our team members, we tell them during when we had the COVID protocols, they wore masks. Now they just wear it in the clinic area. Why? Because that's what the state mandates. They pretty much, if you want to wear your mask, you wear your mask. If you don't want to wear your mask, you don't have to wear your mask, right? Only in the clinic area, right? So that's kind of the approach. The approach we have is the approach we have as a state. And again, if someone wants to wear a mask the whole time, they can. If they don't want to, then I don't force them. So again, stick with the norms of your state and that'll keep you safe.
Good stuff. Thanks, Dr. Bo. This is really insightful. I mean, I pulled some pearls out of this myself to definitely bring along. And I like the idea of memorizing their favorite drink and taking a few of those others.
It also helps with your family too. So it helps me from getting in trouble with my wife. And for a while she would say, "Oh my gosh, she wrote all this stuff down." And now she's just happy because I was like, "Look, I can't remember everything. I barely remember like what I did last week." Okay. So I have to have this stuff written down, So again, it helps not only in your practice, but also will help in your professional outside, people that you work with, family members and whatnot, sending the right gift, telling someone happy birthday when no one else remembers. It goes a long way when you're trying to build other relationships as well. So.
Perfect. And Dr. Vo, do you have the code on your slides? If you don't, I'm going to put it in chat because I know we're at our time here. Totally fine. Jeff threw this into his hacker-proof code verification tool.
It's my CE code generator. Yeah.
Yeah. This tool is amazing. So if you need a password for your bank, reach out to Jeff. But it is going to be VO 2022. I'm gonna put this into chat to everybody.
You guys can't get that. I don't know what. I can't help you guys if you can't get that.
So now you can go back to CE Zoom based on your state. You might have to take a short test, get your CE credits, move on. But like we said, we wanted to keep it to 7 o'clock. So whatever you're doing, playing basketball, Jeff's gonna go out roller skating here, I think. I'm gonna go eat dinner. But you can go to it. If you want to hang out for a little bit, I'll tell you a little bit about CareStack, and we'll have an opportunity to get an Amazon gift card. But again, that code is VO 2022. So you can go back to CE Zoom, get your continuing education credits, and then of course, make sure you go out to the Nifty site, get all of those forms. That is really good content.
Join the group too. If you're not part of the Nifty Thrifty group on Facebook, please join as well. And I want to say one thing before I hop off, and that is if you value just continuing education and having resources to level up yourself, but also level up your team as well. Dan didn't mention this, but I'll go ahead and mention it because I was really big a part of it, is that CareStack has their own university with people like Christopher Phelps, Travis Campbell, Kelly Schwartz. I think I have a few things on there as well. Manal Simpat, all these other people, Paul Etchinson, they all have courses on there and it's all free for CareStack users. So again, just something to think about. Something to think about when you're thinking about practice management software. What else can I get? Well, you got all that free training for you and your team.
Thanks, Dr. Bo.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. See you guys around in the Nifty group. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bo.